As of 2017, over 1.1 billion people globally lacked identity. A lack of legal and useful ID creates barriers to the access to rights and services, disproportionately affecting the most vulnerable sections of society. This is where MOSIP comes in.
Our mission is to enable the poorest, the illiterate, the minorities, the women to enjoy their rights, to access their rights and benefit from the programs of their respective governments using digital technology. So we have two main objectives. One is inclusion. Nobody must be left out of what their rights are. Second is of empowerment. People should not depend on anybody else, go and beg for their rights. They must be able to access it directly without an intermediary. And digital technologies are a great way to achieve both inclusion and this empowerment, and that's our mission.
Today, September 16, we celebrate the most important human asset, identity. Having proof of it is a fundamental right. It is a practical necessity not just in the overall human experience, but also in the context of the digital transformation of society. In fact, identity is so vital that the United Nations General Assembly in 2015 called for the provision of legal identity for all by 2030, including birth registration, by setting it as Sustainable Development Goal 16.9.
At MOSIP, we believe establishing good ID systems are important. We are currently supporting 9 countries who are at various stages of implementation in building their digital ID systems. We are also nurturing an active commercial ecosystem and a community of open source contributors who can support the mission of digital ID through MOSIP.
We have seen the impact of digital ID in other countries. We've benchmarked countries such as India, where the economy, digital transformation, savings, the financial systems, efficiency, transparency, all of these metrics can be improved in a significant way through the deployment of foundational identification system that helps customers, residents identify themselves for digital services, for all KYC, know your customer services. So that's the value and importance we see in rolling out national ID, digital ID in Ethiopia.
In the Philippines, the dream of establishing a national identification system became a reality. In August 2018, the Philippine Identification System Act was signed into law, which aims to provide a valid proof of identity for each Filipino. With the Philippine Statistics Authority, or the PSA, as the lead implementing agency, the rollout of PhilSys 2 years later in 2020 was made possible. As of date, we were able to enroll more than half our population. That's 72 million Filipinos and counting. By collaborating with other government agencies and MOSIP, the PSA was able to build the capacity to implement PhilSys, from registration to data security, privacy, and non-duplication.
We have based our ID system off of MOSIP. We call the system FIDA, but at the core of which we have the MOSIP platform. We use this platform to do all our ID management system, the core functions. So the presence of MOSIP has enabled us to be vendor neutral, to be able to rely on local resources, local capacity to roll out the Ethiopian ID system.
We are happy to announce that we are a coalition partner with ID Day, and as a coalition partner we wholeheartedly support ID4Africa's important work on the ID mission.
Having witnessed the power of digital transformation, established on a bedrock of good principles and human-centric design, MOSIP remains committed to its long-term goal of enabling inclusion and empowerment by harnessing trusted and world-class technology.
This ID Day, join hands with us to make ID for all a reality.